Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we're having a look at the Smart Hashtag 3, which I've just got my hands on for a limited amount of time today. We're in Carton House to the Irish launch of this car. What is it? It's a collaboration between Mercedes or Daimler and Geely or Geely. What are you laughing at? Depending on how you pronounce it, who are the owners of Volvo. Quite a few different price ranges with this car. The cheapest one is under €40,000 after grants, and actually the cheapest version gets an LFP battery, which is a lithium phosphate, which apparently is better for longevity when it comes to fast charging and repeated charging cycles. And Volvo use that in their EX30, again, model specific. Also, it's a form of battery chemistry that we're going to see more of over the next few years. Anyway, don't want to get too technical on it today, but I do want to show you around this very good looking SUV Coupé car. Let's focus on the exterior then for a couple of seconds. Right across the front we have this huge light bar, really striking. Certainly is a car that doesn't look like anything else on the road. Now, this version is a Pro Plus. There's 4 main trims, including a BRABUS, which is an all-wheel drive version, and there's a 25th anniversary version of this car. There's 500 being allocated to Europe. We're getting 5 in Ireland at the moment, but there is the potential to have more if needed. It is a bit over 4 meters long, but a very curvaceous sloping roof, which gives it the title of SUV Coupé. Some of the exterior details then, smart here, smart on these wheels. These are not the best alloys, to be fair. There are up to 20-inch available. 19 seems to be probably what a lot of people are going to go for. More smart detailing in the headlights, but it is going to be one of those cars perhaps that you'll have to explain to people what it is. Now, a lot of people are very familiar with smart cars of old, but very different to what this offering now is. A lot of the launch cars are white, but there will be 11 different colours available once the car gets properly launched. And two-tone going on with a panoramic glass roof, which is 99% UV protection apparently. You'd wonder about the 1%. Does it mean people like myself are going to have to wear a cap in the car, or is that a really high rating compared to other vehicles? You might let me know in the comments down below. So very clearly hashtag 3 on the back of the car. Again, that light bar is reflected in the rear. It's pretty much identical actually, it's just red. But it is quite a good looking car. We've a sleek boot spoiler, not the biggest in the world, but really works in terms of how that comes over that rear end of the car, and also quite a curvaceous bottom on it. Drag coefficient due to the design of the car, it's a little bit more lower than the hashtag 1, for example. So we have a drag coefficient of 0.29, but certainly quite striking. Certainly the right colour, but I do think actually this white looks okay. The main thing you'd probably want to upgrade from this are the wheels. Front-wise, it's not massive. 15 litres, which is not that usable at all, but at least it's there. You can, of course, open the boot with the fob for the car, but the A has a little button on it, and that reveals a 370 litre boot, which is not huge. I mean, it's thereabouts what the current Golf would be. For comparison to the Golf, it would be a little bit bigger. We have some storage net areas. We've got a flexible parcel shelf. It's one of the smallest parcel shelves I've ever seen. It's absolutely tiny, but I do like them because they give you lots of options in terms of this being able to bend around items that are in the boot. You're not totally set on something harder. Underneath here then you have a bit of space for your Type 2 cable. You're not going to get that in the front, so it's good that that's there. You can drop this down as well. You probably end up having to chuck your main cables into that part of the boot or whatever, or just on top of this shelf, but at least the option is there. So 370 actually, and the boot electrically opening and closing. One of the reasons I selected the Pro Plus version of the car today, you have a bigger battery. The towing capacity is 1600 kilos. You can't get a tow hitch on the entry level version of the car, so LFP battery in the entry level Not the case in all the others. So you got to work out which is the best for you in terms of what stuff you're going to use most. But what I do like about this car is there's so much individuality with it. You can spec so many different interior colors. There's a special type of brown that you can get that covers the steering wheel and the interior, and that looks really good. You can get certain options with Beats sound system. So it's really up to you in terms of how you want this car to look, basically. Door handles are good and low. Try and open them and you get smart revealed here. A little bit of electric help / resistance you'll feel on that. Good quality even in the rear on the top of the door. So that in a lot of cars is really hard plastic. Not the case here. You'll also see the Beats logo for the sound system. This car has a longer wheelbase, so it's the same platform as everything else, right up to F segment that Smart can make. So it means the platform is all the same, but they can make the boot bigger, make the interior rear space longer, whatever it's going to be, whatever case it is. Feels like a kind of a two-seater really, but there is obviously a flat floor because this is a dedicated EV platform vehicle. The glass panoramic sunroof is really big. You have the Smart detailing on the back of the headrests. Furthermore, there's kind of bits of stitching here with buttons, and you'll see them on the seats as well. It's almost like the buttons you'd get on your jeans. There's little Smart logos on them, so the attention to detail is actually really, really nice. It does feel a little bit bigger compared to the Volvo EX30, for example. Not massively, but perhaps just even the smallest bit. There's a bit of space going on here. We have pockets. You can fit your feet under the driver's seat, and hidden down here one USB-A and one USB-C charging port. So these beautiful seats, they do, I suppose, restrict the view a little bit for rear passengers, but because of that glass roof, it never feels claustrophobic. As you can see here, there's more speakers in the headlining of the car, a little bit of extra glass going down into the C-pillar, and yeah, it does feel very well made, very premium. Like all the metal is covered up in the car. So again, for the price of where this car is starting from, it's very impressive. I will remind you, this is obviously not the standard version of the car. This is the second tier up. Same then, jumping into the car at the front, door handle pops out, and this is the view that you get. So you've got a kind of a fake leather cover on this. Steering looks good, a lot of physical buttons on it. Again, gorgeous bucket seats, little opening here, but also just the way the headrest pops out. It really does feel like a very high quality product. A large screen in the center, not unlike something you'd see in Mercedes in terms of the way this slopes up. The air vents, the 3 circular dials. Some versions of the car have a head-up display that you'll see here. And again, aimed at kind of, it feels like a younger market in terms of how these graphics look. The avatar is now a cheetah. It was a fox on the #1. That's to represent how fast the cheetah is and how fast this car can be in certain versions. A bit more storage going on down here. So actually one of the selling points is how much storage they have internally in the car. I suppose you could say it makes up for the very, very small frunk. Some of your light settings and buttons down here. Another reason you might want to go for the Pro Plus version, that trim upwards has 22 kilowatt AC charging as standard. They're the smaller street chargers that you see. It means you can extract the full power from that, and you can charge the battery to full in 3 hours on those chargers. There's less pressure on them on the network, and the overstay fee is not until 8 hours. So you can see why it'd be a massive benefit to have 22 AC on board. Driver sensor aid here, like a lot of things that can be turned off. You've got your driver instrument display here. Very nice white, feels widescreen. Quite a lot of storage for drinks and holders like that down here. Something else I really like, there's a charging card holder here. I haven't seen that in the car before. That's quite a deep storage space as well. So as if that wasn't enough, then you have this area here that has wireless charging and 2 USB-C charging options. Car really is full of speakers. There's another one up here, sunglasses holder, which is carpeted, stop things rattling Again, just another reminder that this thing feels like a premium product. All the familiar apps that you'd expect, energy settings, integrated Spotify. You can schedule all the things you need to schedule. 360 camera, which is standard on all versions of the car. Blind spot views. Safety is something that is a big selling point of this car, and blind spot, everything, a lot of the safety stuff coming as standard. You have integrated nav if you want to use that. No additional add-ons needed. Search for charging spots and all that stuff. Climate, yes, it is behind the screen, but it's always staying at the bar here, and then bring into your main climate control. You can do this, heated steering wheel and heated seats as well. So a lot of different options going on here, and your energy consumption always at this point. And if you want to just shortcut back to home, wherever you are, you can always hit that home button and it'll bring you straight back. No haptics or any of that messing going on in this. Physical buttons, cruise control, volume, voice recognition, a lot of the stuff you'd expect. And a decent sounding horn. Getting driving, push down on the stalk. Total Mercedes characteristic. That's how you select gear. Do you remember the days when we were all driving around and 1 litres and 1.4s in Ireland, and a 2 litre was like, what? You have a 2 litre? So this version, all versions apart from the BRABUS, are single motor rear wheel drive. And the standard is 272 brake horsepower, which is really enough for, I think, just about everybody. That's combined with 343 Newton meters of torque. And that means you're 0 to 60 or 100 kilometers an hour in, how we say things, is sub 6 seconds, which is like, that's good going. Floor it, you get a nice shove into the back, so you see plenty of power there. The consumption figures are impressive, somewhere between 16 and 17 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. That is pretty good for the balance of performance and range. The car should do over 400 kilometers. Maybe in colder weather you'll see sub 400. Indicator sounds different. You know, a lot of the characteristics of this car, it's a bit different. It's a bit unusual, and I like that. They've kind of embraced it. It's a lot of electric cars, perhaps they can be criticized of looking the same. Really, this does look quite a bit different. And driving dynamics, it's very sharp. I mean, yes, it's still heavy, but my God, does it shift. And it's got a very sharp sense of turn to it. Now, you do feel the weight of it when you do that, but how often are you driving down a road trying to do zigzags? As you can hear, the speed monitoring is not impressed. But again, even that sounds different. It sounds like bubbles underwater or something. So it feels lighter than it should. The steering is very direct, very sharp. It has a kind of a sporty feel to it. Again, going into corners now, the lower center of gravity is kind of coming into its own now. That can definitely be turned off. But as I say, I don't have a huge amount of time with the car today, so I don't have time to be going through different menus. A very sharp turn now. Really does hold the road. And just at the very limit there, some of the anti-traction aids coming into play, but still giving it a sense of devilment in it, which again, for some electric cars, can be lacking. So battery today is at 94%, 383 kilometers in the range. It is quite warm, it's 20 degrees. So all the conditions that an electric vehicle like are here on the table today. It certainly feels quite big and spacious inside. Again, that is further aided, no doubt, by this glass panoramic roof, which obviously doesn't open. If you are interested in one of these, you want to find out more information, because the safety stuff was mind-blowing today, the amount of stuff that you get with the car. So smartelectric.ie is the website. They've got that up and running. Of course, there's an app where you can control the car. Would a car even be new these days without an app assisting in some way? It is on the pricier side of things when you go further up the range. You might have die-hard smart car fans who want to spend that money, it definitely feels well put together. You can feel the foundation of Mercedes and Geely, or Volvo really is probably the better comparison, but also you've got Polestar in there as well. There's a heritage of making EVs that are a little bit more engaging than some of the competition to drive. You can feel that in this car. I think one thing that goes without saying, forget everything you know up till now about smart, because as great as those little cars were, you know, they were tiny. They probably weren't that comfortable. You'd fit two people in them, obviously, and that was it. They're great for parking. Nothing wrong with smaller cars, but this is a different product, and the interiors and the build quality, how it drives, they're all something that you won't have experienced in the smart car that we're familiar with. Some at home, they weren't officially sold here in Ireland, so a lot of people would have imported them, but certainly in mainland Europe, people would be very familiar with smart cars. First impressions today, definitely impressed. Here's my overall thoughts on this quick first drive in the hashtag 3. So different levels of Trim Pro, which is 38,740, and that's the entry level after grants. Delivery charges will be anywhere from €1,000 upwards. Some dealers are rolling it into different service packs, so negotiate is the message there. That was the message I was getting this morning. Pro Plus, which is this version, 43,821. The Premium is 51,105. The BRABUS version, dual motored, 56,500, and the 25th anniversary is 51,765. Most of the upper end, well, all of the upper end cars get 150 kilowatt DC charging. The entry level is just over 130, which is okay by today's standards. It's just all right. Speaking of charging, they showed us a brief intro to the hashtag 5, which is kind of an off-road rugged vehicle. Just to give you an insight into that car, that will have 800 volt architecture for charging. So very much getting the message that this brand is going to release at least 2 cars a year over the next few years. We're going to see a lot more of them on the road. It certainly feels very, very premium. Yes, some of the higher stuff is more expensive. I think the sweet spot is the 43,000, just under 44,000 actually, Pro Plus, but it really does feel like a good product. The interior is really smart, hashtag no pun intended. And I just think if I was looking for something, I don't know if quirky is the word, because this is, I mean, Smart is a mainstream brand. They're owned by mainstream companies, but it is something a bit different. And if you're in the market for something electric that really truly feels premium, you'd have to have a little look at it. I will get a longer drive with the car, a couple of months' time, whatever it is. We'll spend a week getting to know the new Smart hashtag 3. It's always hard to get, you know, proper opinions having spent a little bit of time with the car, but so far so good. I am impressed. Let me know what you think of the Smart hashtag 3 in the comments down below. Thank you very much for coming with me this far in the video today. I'll talk to you in the next one.